What's up, y'all? Hope you're having a lovely day. My name's Bodhi. I've wanted to sort of make some videos for a while. I've been a YouTube music production tutorial addict for years, and I've learned a lot from this platform, from people showing their tricks and whatnot. And I figured it might be sort of healthy to give back a little bit and to have a more generative relationship to the platform and to put some stuff out there. So I've tried recording this video a few times and it's been pretty rambly and not very straightforward or to the point. So this is maybe the fourth attempt I've made at this video. What I wanted to do tonight was break down this Rhodes piano instrument rack that I've created here in Ableton. I made this a couple of weeks ago and I've been enjoying it as sort of a writing tool. The instrument sounds a little bit like this. I guess before I get started, I'll just give a little bit of context here. I'm using a few MIDI effects to help me out here. I'm not a piano player. I don't really know what I'm doing on the keyboard. So I'm playing everything in A minor, all the white keys on my keyboard, using A as my root note. And then I'm using this pitch device here to sort of transpose that root up or down to whatever key I want to be in. So right now I have it pitched down, so I'm playing the A key, but it's actually playing a G note. And so by playing A minor, I'm actually playing in G minor. And then I'm using this note length effect here because I don't have a sustain pedal or any hardware sustain control. So I'm using this note length device to increase the note length. And I have it cranked up here to 60 seconds. So theoretically, if these instruments are sampled that length, they will decay for 60 seconds. Sounds like it's not actually 60 seconds. It sounds like the sustain and decay envelope is maybe more like 15 or 20 seconds or something. But that's how I'm achieving this sustained sound. If you've ever played a piano and enjoyed like holding down that sustain pedal, this allows you to do that in the box without any hardware. And then I'm using this velocity device here to limit the upper range of my velocity so that I don't hit any like really strong high velocity notes. And then I'm also adding 5 degrees of random velocity to each note I press. So it's tracking the manual velocity, but then it's applying like a 5% increase, or I don't know if it's percent, but it's applying a little bit of random velocity change to my played notes. So this device, you can see the neat and tidy racked up version here. Looks sort of complex when you open it up, but the basic premise is I'm using basically separate instruments to isolate and then combine separate mid and side signals. So I'm using a few devices here, but you could do this all with one. If you have one of these, theoretically you could even do it with like a stock Rhodes preset if that exists within Ableton. But I find these third-party Rhodes plugins sound really good, and this is sort of a way to take them to the next level if you have one or multiple of these instruments. So I'll come back to this extensive rack in a little bit, but I figured I'd just build it up from scratch. So I have the same MIDI effects over here on this channel, And I'm just going to bring in an instance of the new Rhodes Anthology plugin. I think this is like an official Fender Rhodes release where they've sampled 4 of their vintage Rhodes pianos and put them into this nice device, which sounds really good. So this is just like, when you open this up, this is the completely dry signal. Give us a little volume here. You have a few different models here. You have like the Mark 1. The Mark 5. Bit of a like mid-forward sound. You have the Mark 7. And the Sparkle Top. Which clearly has a pretty sparkly top end to it. And then you have some controls within the plugin, some controls and effects. You can see right now, if you look over here in the stereoscope on the mini meters, you can see that we currently have a completely mono signal. You just have this vertical line, which indicates that there's no stereo information. But if we enable, say, the chorus, that instantly gives you a stereo image. And these controls are set up, and it's called like detented controls. You see these on like the Neve preamps. You have this like inner dial and this outer dial. And so on the chorus, you have the rate, or rather the depth here on the outer dial. And you have the rate on the inner dial. You also have a stereo phaser. Sounds pretty cool. You can sync it if you want. It's like dotted eighth notes. You have a delay. These effects all sound great. And you have a reverb in here as well. Spring sounds pretty cool. And you also have some like preamp controls, some drive. Get a pretty like dirty, distorted, crunchy sound. Sounds awesome though. And you have a stereo tremolator in here as well, stereo tremolo. You can see the mini meter there indicating that sway. I'm going to leave all the effects off, aside from maybe just a little bit of drive and a little volume on here. And I'll use the sparkle top here for this this part of the instrument. So I'm going to group the anthology, and I'm going to layer it with an instance of the classic Lounge Lizard EP-4 instrument. And this, I don't believe, is a sampled Rhodes. It's rather a physical modeling synthesizer that gives you pretty extensive control over the physical modeling of the hammer, fork, pickup, damper, which would be like the physical and mechanical controls on an actual Rhodes. And this is just a preset I've tweaked. They have a whole bunch of presets in here. This is just a sort of a custom one that I've built, and this doesn't have any stock effects aside from this stereo tremolator here. So if I solo the Lounge Lizard, I just have the shape of that tremolation set as smooth as it can go, and I have the rate around 2 to 3 cycles per second on that stereo sway. And I'll just crank the depth up on here. Maybe not all the way. And you'll see why here. So the key to this device here, or this instrument rack, is basically separating these as far as the stereo image is concerned. So I'm just going to grab a utility here, and I don't actually need it on the Anthology because it's already mono. But I'm going to put this utility onto the Lounge Lizard, and the utility stock comes set up with this width control, which just either like boosts the volume of the sides up to 400% or isolate or shrinks the signal down to mono. But if you right click on it and turn it into mid-side mode, then it functions by turning it down all the way. You just turn down the volume of the sides completely and isolate the mono signal. And if you turn it up all the way, it does the inverse. It eliminates the mono signal and isolates the side signal. And so if I solo the Lounge Lizard and play the isolated side signal, you'll see on the mini meter that there's no vertical information, and you'll hear that it's just the sides. And so if we combine that with the Anthology and maybe decrease the sides by like 12 dB or something, we have this really lovely kind of timbrally separated mid and side Rhodes piano. Super lush. Another little preference thing I have here, this is a free plugin from Valhalla. Really good. This is their frequency echo plugin. I'm not sure exactly what category of effect this device is, but it creates a really unique effect. Again, if I just isolate the Lounge Lizard and maybe let it have some mono information for a second so we can play with this frequency echo plugin. If I increase the mix on this and leave the feedback around 40 to 50% and then use this shift parameter kind of a like auto wah. Sets the amount of frequency shifting in hertz. So it's not really an auto wah, it's a frequency shifter, sort of combined with a delay. I'm going to leave the delay off for this instance and leave the frequency shifting at a pretty slow rate. Kind of this like phasery, really interesting kind of psychedelic effect. So if I then isolate the side signal of this, I'll put the frequency echo before the side channel isolator and recombine this with our mono sound. Kind of subtle. Could like increase the mix on this maybe. You'll really hear it if you start to my impression of Valhalla. Negative values change the direction of the frequency shifting. So it goes down instead of up. Yeah, just a lovely effect. I highly recommend playing with this just in your production workflow, throwing this on everything from drums, percussion, to tonal instruments, the upper, like mid-range of bass sounds, like whatever. It's a super powerful device. So that's the basic setup here, and this theory could be applied not only to like this Rhodes use case, but you could do this mid-side separation with your synth sounds or your bass sounds or whatever. You could have a two kind of slightly different synth sounds, one generating the mid signal and one generating the side signal, and combined you have the opportunity to have a lot of like movement and interest and character within a single instrument. So especially if you write kind of like minimal music where there's only a few instruments or like just like one or two tonal sounds, and you want those to have like more character, and especially given that a lot of people listen to music on headphones, like on the bus or like walking to and from like work or, wherever people listen to music. A lot of people are listening on headphones, and a lot of people love that feeling of the music like being kind of inside your head, which is the effect that headphones give, especially like good headphones. And so having that like stereo interest can really level up your sounds. And this is kind of a unique way to do that, and I've never really seen it illustrated before on the internet, but obviously I haven't scoured everywhere. I'm sure there's a Reddit thread where people are discussing this. Anyhow, I'll just go back to our like full built out device here, where I've set up some macro controls for sort of the most important aspects of this sound. So I just have the volume control for the center signal here coming from the anthology, and the volume control for the sides, which is coming from, in this case, 2 instances where I'm like using Lounge Lizard and Anthology combined and then isolating the side image of that combined signal, and then just bringing out the character of it a bit with OTT, just like a small amount of OTT, and then I'm cutting the lows out of that as well. I'll just bring up the volume of the sides here. You can hear what the OTT is, how that's just like bringing all the top end character out of that. And then I have some effects in the rack here. Well, first of all, I have the stereo tremolo rate and depth right here. And then I have the amp and mic selections on the Anthology plugin over here. And then I have this reverb throw, which so far we've been hearing this sound completely dry, so to speak, aside from the sustain being super drawn out. If I bring out some of this reverb, we'll start to hear it a little wetter. And the reverb setup I'm using over here is, so I have a dry pass through for the side image over here, and then I also have 3 parallel reverbs set up. It's sort of overkill, but I don't know. It can also be really powerful to use like multiple reverbs in parallel and then like processing those together. In this case, I'm using the Pure Plate from Universal Audio. I'm using an instance of Realm here. This is a really awesome algorithmic reverb. And I'm also using a instance of Shimmer, which is giving that octave up shimmering effect. I could turn that up. Gorgeous, expansive sound. Again, I don't know how to play piano. I'm leaning heavily on crutches here, but I can certainly noodle for days and just like bask in the warmth of sound. So that's this device. I'll limit some of this reverb here. I'll turn down the sides. And from here you could really go anywhere with effects processing. I'd recommend like multi-effects plugins. I'll play around with, let's try guitar rig on here. I think that could sound pretty cool. We can, let's try out some presets. Let's try some of these keys effects here. Try like, let's try It's Raining 16ths. Kind of distorted. Guitar rig is super powerful, by the way. There's like so many different components in here. Effects and sort of like good, obviously guitar focused effects, amps and cabinets, but a lot of like really creative stuff, and the presets are fantastic. Some real noisy stuff. I find a lot of them utilize this noise machine device, which literally just adds noise. So if you're into that, I'll just turn it way down. This is adding it's adding some pitch wobble to it. Sounds pretty good. Lo-fi chord. Wild stuff in here. I'd highly recommend like resampling this stuff, saving just like long takes of this stuff, and then reusing that, chopping it up, slicing it in simplers, and adding more effects and modulation. I mean, that's just epic. Grain delay massacre. Crazy. Spacious resonance. Sorry about that clip there. Yeah, seriously resonant. Wow. That's pretty mesmerizing. That's pretty cool. Let's try turning off our note length and velocity random. Wow, okay, so this noise machine has like a bunch of different noise sounds in it, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool lo-fi sound. Wow, little like low what would this be, like a lo-fi Ottawa delay? Pretty cool. Creamy snowflakes. Man, powerful stuff. And you know, you could go as far with this as you wanted. You could have an instance of that, limit its range a bit, filter that effect somewhat. Have that sort of in the background. And we have our dry chain here. You could also go for something like Rift, minimal audio. Highly recommend this company if you haven't checked them out. They make really powerful stuff. Their current synth is a beast, and Rift is just like one of the most powerful multi-effects out there right now. I reckon some of these like nuance presets are like pretty wild. Crazy. Talk about movement. Yeah, wild stuff. Some of these, like, all of these preset banks are wild. Try some of these, like, particle delays. So, I mean, you could just build like the most insane, nuanced, like detailed instruments imaginable. Same thing here. If we like filtered this effect out a little bit and put it in parallel with a dry signal as well as the guitar rig signal, and then, I don't know, say pan the guitar rig all the way left and pan this Rift effect all the way right, and then we still have our dry signal in the middle, which is just carrying through the original device's signal here, which has both mid and side information, but that we're layering like this extreme left effect with this extremely different right effect. I mean, it's obviously way also just have these throw on our sustain here. Epic. I think I'll call it there. Yeah, we've explored quite a bit. I look forward to making some more videos exploring other things in the near future. Again, just trying to have a better relationship with YouTube, and figured I've learned and discovered a few things in 12 years of playing around with music and sound, and thought it'd be cool to offer some of that up, and hopefully some of you find value in it. So with that, I hope you are well. I hope you'll come back here if you use some of these techniques or have insight into how to take this further or in another direction entirely. Please comment, and I'd love to develop a conversation with everyone regarding this stuff, because it's fascinating and goes, I think, infinitely deep. So hope to see you back here in the new future, in the near future rather, and take care.